My name is Nancy Schriber, and it has been my honor to serve as chair of Legislative District 28 for the past 4 years and be part of the MCDP LD Chair Committee, also for 4 years. In 2010, I became involved in my district legislative races, where I learned the value of volunteer recruitment, phone banking, and canvassing doors. I have been an elected PC for 8 years, a state committee member for 6, and have been active in the county party as both a volunteer and member of the Circle of Friends for many years. Along with my board, I tirelessly work to recruit, train, and engage a large community of volunteers that appeared after the 2016 election. In 2018, through hard work, we won both House seats, and this year we successfully flipped our district from red to blue with the election of our state Senate candidate. I have the distinction of saying LD 28 was the only LD in the state to flip in 2020. On a personal note, I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, have lived in the US for 30 years, have been a citizen for 16 years. I'm a retired healthcare consultant, and am the proud mother of 3 wonderful young adults. There were many ways I believe I contributed to the campaigns of our fabulous slate of county candidates in 2020. As LD chair, I ensured each candidate was invited to our LD meetings once, if not twice, and during the cycle, and many of them came more than that. I also helped organize 2 Zoom events to introduce our voters to Dan Toporek, and Jeannie Castine came and helped us host an event with our LD 28 school board candidates. We also made sure that any events that our county candidates hosted on Zoom were sent out to the LD community through our newsletter. We also encouraged donations to all of our county candidates, and I personally donated to almost all of their campaigns, small amounts, but still I felt every amount counted. Once our LD campaign office in early September reopened, I should say, because we were closed for the pandemic, we pushed out our county candidate signs and lit. We ensured that when we had our Biden and Kelly signs, they were hot commodity. Obviously, people came in for them. We didn't let any voter leave without our county candidates and many of our down ballot candidate signs and literature. I personally made over 1,000 calls to voters in my district. I dropped hundreds of lit packets with our county voter guide in those lit packets, and even knocked doors in the last weeks of the campaign talking about all of our fabulous legislative, county, and statewide candidates. Wherever possible, I promoted all of our down ballot candidates. I think that there are 3 skills that I have that will be beneficial in this role as county chair. First, I am a strategic planner at heart. I believe that in order to move forward as an organization, you need to identify goals, action items, and timeframes for completing the work. The county did some incredible planning with each of its LDs in the last cycle, and it really helped us stay focused on what mattered. I think my experience with planning in my district will be really beneficial for the LD chairs and should help with crafting county goals for 2022. Second, everyone has a voice at my board table. I created a large board in my district because we wanted to encourage people to help with the many different areas we knew we needed to focus on. Everyone has skills, everyone has talents, and I wanted to hear about them. Whether it was fundraising, volunteer recruitment, training, understanding field, or reaching out to our Latinx and youth voters, I wanted a large, active group at the table brainstorming ways we could make a difference. Third, I love to talk to people. I truly believe that every conversation I have is an opportunity to learn something. I have been told I'm also a good listener. I know for the first few months as chair that I will be going around the district virtually, getting to know the chairs and their boards and learning about the communities that make up our amazing 20 legislative districts in Maricopa County. The final skill I have learned is about successful fundraising. When I took over as chair of LD 28 in 2016, we had maybe $600 in the bank. We knew we needed to formalize our fundraising efforts. We visited a few legislative district meetings to see what others did. And we learned from the fabulous LD 18 that focusing on reoccurring donors is important. That takes time to build trust and to have people be invested enough to regularly donate to your legislative district. I'm proud to say that we went from about 5 or 6 regular reoccurring donors in 2016, and we have over 50 at present. I have also learned the value of a well-planned spring silent auction event. I know the county plans events, and I have learned a lot from having those kinds of events in my district. Not only does it raise money, but it is an important part of building community. What are my priorities? My first priority will be to reach out to the MCDP staff and each of the LD chairs to begin a conversation about how they are feeling, what we need to do, and how we're going to get there. My second priority will be to learn about the fundraising programs that make up the county. MCDP had its most successful fundraising cycle ever, and I want to understand how that happened so that we can build on this success. My third priority will be to talk to committee chairs and determine priorities for the coming year. We have some amazing committee chairs, and I need to know how we can help them be successful in their activities. My fourth priority will be to talk to community organization like Lucha, Mia Familia, Progress Arizona, to name just a few. They did amazing organizing this cycle and did some of the groundwork the LDs couldn't do because of the pandemic. I want to know how they're feeling and how we can work together to build on their successes for this next cycle. Finally, I would like to talk to county candidates from this cycle to hear what they think went well and what they think needs to be improved to help us plan for the next 2 years. For me, it's about listening, planning, and moving to action. I can tell you what worked in LD 28. We knew we needed to add diversity to our district and attract younger volunteers. To create a more diverse volunteer base, we needed to reach out to our communities of color by hosting small events and partnering with local organizations that have done work in these areas. We wanted to have conversations with voters to understand what they wanted for their communities. In LD 28, we did 2 things that I think helped us move the needle. We canvassed the Sunny Slope and Palomino precincts, which have a high propensity of Latino voters, and we invited folks to an event. We reached out to Lucha and talked about our common goals and how we could work together in these communities. We held Saturday morning coffees in local parks. We held happy hours in local restaurants. We also tried some voter registration and information sharing about our meetings outside the Palomino Elementary Schools and the Palomino Boys and Girls Club. Raquel Turan helped us as a speaker at our Tardia Dita, which we held in Palomino Park one February long ago in 2019. And she reminded us this was the beginning of many events and conversation we needed to have with voters in these communities. We made some inroads, but there's still so much more to do. I believe the county board will need to come up with strategies like this with our LD chairs to do this important outreach in each of their communities. To increase our youth involvement during 2018, we created a robust intern program, which was expanded in 2020 with 19 interns. Each intern did a capstone project and was involved in campaign activities. This cycle, we even managed to hire back 8 of those interns for the last 8 weeks of the campaign. Our interns did meaningful work, and many came back from both 2018 and came back again in 2020. We know that this investment in our youth in LD28 is creating future leaders for the Democratic Party. I would also like to add that our partnership with the ASU Young Dems and Maricopa County Young Dems is important at the county level and is beneficial to understanding the issues that matter to our 18 to 35-year-old demographic. We know what we need to do to win. We need to attract volunteers, encourage them to get involved, to become a PC. We need to train them. We need to teach them what organizing looks like. We know we win when our volunteers become engaged in our LDs because they feel valued and they are part of the team. In 28, our volunteers know we expect a lot of them. We're a canvassing district, which means they are knocking on doors when it's 110 sometimes. But we also show them we are grateful by planning meaningful meetings, having fun at social events, training them to be successful, and through all this, creating a community of like-minded Democrats. Like many of our LDs, in LD28, we went from about 40 PCs in 2016 to 148 PCs, elected PCs in 2020. In my opinion, though, the real success is that a high percentage of our elected PCs made phone calls, wrote postcards, and dropped lit in 2020. In LD28, if you weren't on the Saturday phone bank call, people noticed. I also know we did a good job of training our PCs and engaging them because many of them told us they were tired of phones and wished they could knock doors. 2022 is coming fast. We're going to have races for US Senate, the governor, Corporation Commission, Congress, school boards, and legislative races, and all this in new districts. So one final thing I would add is that we have to help our LD chairs get ready in case their districts are split up. We need to be ready to hit the ground running for all of these races in January 2022. So redistricting is a huge part of our planning. So 2021 is a year of listening, educating ourselves, and bringing people to the table and making plans to help up and down candidates win, up and down ballot candidates win. I have spent the last 4 years creating an army of devoted, well-trained volunteers who know exactly what the mission was. Be ready to do the work to elect candidates up and down ballot. I stayed focused on what we needed to do. Get the volunteers trained, fundraise, create strong social media platforms, and create a community environment where people wanted to show up and do the work. I believe I have the experience and skills necessary to build on the foundations that previous chairs have established. I know the incoming LD chairs are talented and enthusiastic group, and I would be honored to work with them. I would like to ask for your vote for chair of the Maricopa County Democratic Party.